I'm not one to be extremely vulnerable on the internet. I'm more so just, I don't know, doing this to like log where I'm at. I just hit like a really low point with my condition and where I'm at right now. I just really don't want to like do it anymore. It's just gotten so fucking hard, and like all of this stuff isn't something that like a lot of people have or understand anything about it, and like my specific case confuses doctors and they don't really understand what it is, and they don't know if I can ever fix it. I'm just tired, like I'm so tired. I'm so tired of fighting every day just to like want to be here, not being able to like go outside or travel or like go on a car ride or drive. I really miss driving. I just miss being like independent and being able to like do my own stuff and like not needing to rely on someone to do everything for me. Agoraphobia and anxiety and panic, and it's just so fucking difficult. Like, it's so easy to just be like, oh, just go outside, just walk outside. Like, I can't just do that. I can't just go into a store and like not freak the fuck out, and like it just feels like so defeating. Like I can't like just go places, and I can't just like do stuff like normal people can. Or like I used to be able to. I wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this for me. It used to be easy to do that stuff. If I would have known back then that this is where I was gonna be in my life, like I wouldn't have believed me. I wouldn't have believed that I wouldn't be able to like go outside or go to a store or drive my own fucking car. Like, I never would have thought that this is where I would be in my fucking life at 25 years old. I had so many plans. I wanted to do so many things. I wanted to like move across the country. I wanted to like travel. I wanted to go out of the country. I wanted to do so much stuff. Like, I feel like I'm never gonna get to do that now. I've been in treatment for like 3 weeks. And I'm making some progress, but it's like, I'm still just like, it's not enough. Like, I'm still just so uncomfortable all the fucking time. I'm always so uncomfortable, like, just mentally and physically. Like, there's so much wrong with me. There's so much wrong with me. And I just don't, I don't want to do this shit for the rest of my life. Like, I really don't. I really fucking don't. And I don't know what to do. I'm not in a good fucking headspace with it. I'm not, like, I feel really fucking defeated right now. Like, I don't feel great. I just, like, broke down with my therapist because it's just, like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. Like, I don't want to keep fucking doing this. It just feels so fucking pointless. Like, all of this feels so fucking pointless. Like, I just, like, keep hoping it's gonna get better, and I just don't know that it is. I don't know that it's actually gonna get better. Everyone says, like, oh yeah, it's gonna get better, you're gonna get through it, it's gonna blah, blah, it's gonna be fine. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it is. So yeah, that's where I'm at with all this.
Hello everyone, my name is Sage. This is the scariest video that I've ever made, and I'm very nervous at the moment. Welcome to Diary of an Agoraphobic, and here we go. I do want to preface with a bit of a trigger warning. It is going to get into some medical issues, medical history, kind of traumatic events. You know, if you deal with any of those things, please just be forewarned. I understand if you can't make it to the end of this video. I would really appreciate if you did, but if you can't, I understand. The point of this video today is that I'm going to be starting a little bit of a journey with my mental health. It's something that I've been terrified to do, and I've been putting it off for a very long time, and I think that the time has come where I I can't put it off anymore. If I'm going to achieve my goals, if I'm going to do all of the things that I've always wanted to do in life, I can't keep postponing it. I am 26 years old. I'm an aspiring therapist. I'm actually in college to become a therapist. I'm also a streamer, a gamer, content creator, and I massively struggle with agoraphobia. Not many people know what agoraphobia is, so I'll just quickly explain it. It's actually quite more common than people would think. It's pretty much can be characterized as like a fear of leaving your home. It's typically a fear of being in situations where escape is difficult because your home is kind of like your safe zone. It's often linked with like panic disorder, and it can typically occur after a traumatic event. It can happen to really anybody. Let's say, you know, you get mugged, like you get robbed, you get held at gunpoint, or something traumatic happens to you outdoors. You might associate either that specific place, or it could even be like the outdoors in general, with just unsafe. You know, this is not safe for me, and you might feel more comfortable being in your home, and it can be a very, very debilitating disorder. It can end up being pretty severe. There was a story that I had read about a patient who was unable to leave her closet. The moment that the sun would rise, she would go into her closet and she would stay there all day until the sun would go down. And when it was nighttime, then she would just be confined to her room instead of just her closet. It can manifest in many different ways, and it can really vastly vary in severity with how it impacts you. Globally, it affects roughly 1 to 2% of the population annually. For me, it manifested as a result of my heart condition. I do have 2 of them. I developed SVT, which is supraventricular tachycardia, when I was 16 years old. I had a heart episode in the park where I almost died. That is a story for another time. Long story short, my heart rate was at 276 beats per minute. I did end up needing to go to an ambulance. They almost needed to revive me. I had to have heart surgery when I had just turned 17, and that took care of the SVT. However, I also have sinus tachycardia, so I experience a lot of like palpitations, heart flutters, chest pains, racing heartbeat. It can be a very, very uncomfortable and very scary condition to have, because, you know, you can be totally fine and then your heart will just skyrocket. Your heart rate will just shoot up for absolutely no reason at all. And it can be very, very terrifying, especially if you don't know if it's going to go back down quickly. Sometimes medical intervention is needed, especially if you can't get it to lower on your own. I have found personally that like laying flat on my back, kind of taking like slow, deep breaths is really helpful for me personally. Unfortunately, that's not always the case where, you know, that works 100% of the time. I've had to go to the hospital many, many times for my heart condition. It really kind of took over my life for a good period of time. So when my agoraphobia developed, it was June of 2024. So last year. I've had this condition now for over a full year. Recovery can take a very long time depending on the person. Sometimes it can take up to 10 years from what I've seen and, you know, heard from my other therapists, and it was just kind of daunting to realize that I could be looking down the barrel of a decade-long condition and not really know exactly when it would end, or if I would ever gain full control over it, especially because it is linked to my heart condition. When it first began, I was working as a mental health tech in a behavioral health hospital, and I was working with adolescents. It was the best job I'd ever worked in my life. It was the only job I'd ever worked that really aligned with like my career goals and just what I really wanted to do. I was helping kids, and it was the most meaningful work I'd ever seen. I ended up having a heart episode at work, and it was just kind of strange. It kind of came out of nowhere. Usually I just have like palpitations here and there. I don't really have heart episodes super often, but I had one in December of 2023. I, was at work, and I had taken the kids to the gym. We were playing volleyball. Everything was great and good. And then as I'm walking them back to the unit, my heart rate spikes, and I'm like, oh, I need to go lay down somewhere. I need to like drink some water. I knew that I was a bit dehydrated, which can also kind of cause my heart to race, unfortunately. But paramedics were called because it is a hospital. They want to make sure that everyone's okay. I kind of told them, I'm like, maybe let's give it a second, see if it, regulates on its own. It didn't. I did need medical intervention. They gave me an IV and then they stabilized me. Side note, I actually found out that my father passed away that morning, literally 30 minutes after stabilizing. Story for another time, but there's that. So that was fun. Yeah, and then quite a few months went by. May of 2024, I was fine until May. I started having the worst palpitations and chest pain and racing heart out of nowhere. I don't know where it was coming from. I couldn't understand why it was happening. My palpitations typically last maybe 1 to 2 seconds, and it's like a quick thing, and it's like, ooh, it just startles me a lot, but I'm used to the feeling of it, and then it goes away, and I have maybe 1 or 2 a day. These palpitations were lasting roughly 3 to 5 seconds, maybe a little bit more, and they were happening 6, 7 times a day. And I wasn't understanding what was going on with me. I hadn't increased my physical activity level. My stress level hadn't increased at all. I was dealing with grief from having my best friend and father pass away in the same week before Christmas, but it didn't really make sense to me why out of nowhere just kind of struck me, and it just was this whole thing. I couldn't really understand it. So I'm having palpitations constantly. I'm having chest pains constantly. I stand up. I'm dizzy. I'm not feeling well. And I hadn't been on medication since I was roughly 17 for my heart condition because I had had it under control for the most part since then. So I really didn't see the need for it. But then I'm like, you know what? It's kind of getting bad for some reason. So let me get on medication. My psychiatrist, because I didn't have a heart doctor at the time, my heart doctor moved. So I did need to find a new one. My psychiatrist prescribed me propranolol because she's like, well, it could be linked to your anxiety. You do have a lot going on. Just generally, you're doing a lot with work and school and all that type of stuff. Maybe it could be additional stress and you're not really thinking about it. Propranolol does help with heart palpitations, so let's try that. It made things exponentially worse. I don't know what happened. The palpitations increased dramatically. The chest pains increased dramatically. It had gotten so bad to the point where my heart would be at 120, 130 when I was laying flat on my back. It was the only thing I knew to do that would instantly lower my heart rate, and even that wasn't working. My partner at the time had to help me finish showering. He was shaving my legs for me because I had to lay flat on my back in the shower. I noticed that heat and steam would really exacerbate my heart condition and the palpitations and the racing heart. I would feel like I was going to pass out, and it was just really fucking terrifying. It was horrifying for me because this condition that I thought was under control for so long is now suddenly again at the forefront of my life. And I have my life together. I finally got the dream job that I wanted. I just bought a car. My partner and I were in a really good spot at the time, and we were going out and having fun, and all of these things were going well aside from the deaths that I had experienced and just hadn't processed at all. It just didn't really make any sense to me. It was just my life completely fell apart. So it's just getting worse and worse, and I'm trying so desperately to get this under control, and we're trying medication. That medication's not working. It's making it worse. So we had to switch to my original medication that I was given when I was diagnosed with the condition called metoprolol, which is extended release. And we realized that the extended release for the propranolol, the propranolol just wasn't playing well with my body at all. So we realized it could be that it's not extended release, or it could be that you just don't take well to this medication. So we're going to try something different that we know worked for you in the past. The issue was during that period of adjusting, to the propranolol and to the metoprolol and trying to figure everything out. I did have to go to the ER. It was a whole thing. I do have a lot of medical trauma because of having to go to the ER so many times throughout my life, because I have always been a chronically ill person and chronically ill child. So I am very familiar and acquainted with doctors and emergency rooms. With the agoraphobia, it started small. It started in increments where I, started having more palpitations, which led to panic attacks at work because I'm having panic attacks over my condition, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to have paramedics called to my work. I don't want to have to go to the hospital. I don't want to have another surgery. I'm terrified. I'm trying so desperately to get this under control while I'm working and it's interfering with my ability to work at this point. So, you know, I stopped being able to really go to work as much. You know, I'm taking a little bit more time off, and then started having panic attacks at the grocery store. Now I'm like, oh, the grocery store is not safe. Like, I'm terrified to go there. It's happening when I'm out at the park, just taking a walk with my partner. You know, we're running errands. It's starting to happen more and more and more. I'm driving. You know, I remember very vividly that I was driving to a doctor's appointment. I was by myself, and I was driving to a doctor's appointment about my heart. And I remember feeling that I started having severe palpitations while I was driving, and I was almost to the freeway entrance, and I started having a panic attack because of how intense the palpitations were. And I was like, oh my God, if I get on the freeway, there's like nowhere that I can pull over to really like catch my breath, because the shoulder, you know, on the freeway, it's very narrow. There's not a lot of space that you have to, you know, pull over in the case of an emergency, or you have to drive for a good bit on that stretch of the freeway to find somewhere that you can pull over. So it's just getting worse and worse. And I drove instead to a nearby park so I could pull over in the parking lot, and I just broke down. I just started fully sobbing, because at this point my world is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The more that I'm struggling with the panic, with the anxiety, with the palpitations, it's just getting worse and worse. And I'm just so frustrated, and I'm terrified, and I'm alone, and I didn't know what to do. And so I called my doctor, and my doctor was like, we can do a virtual appointment. That's totally fine. You know, we're just discussing a medication switch anyway, because this was me switching from the propranolol to the metoprolol. So I have this conversation with her in my car at the park. And, you know, she was very understanding, of course. This is the same primary doctor I've had since I was 13 years old. So she's very well acquainted with my illnesses. The more and more that I'm driving, which I've always loved driving. I've always loved driving. It has been like such a therapeutic thing for me for so long. I used to take drives with my mom all the time, and we would just be gone for hours just listening to music and going for a drive, and it was just always like the biggest thing to me. And it was finally like I had just gotten my car after not having a car for years. I just got one, and I loved being in my car. You know, one of the biggest things that I miss is driving, because it got to the point where I could no longer safely drive by myself, and so I would have to have my partner either drive in the car with me, or he would just drive and I would sit in the passenger seat. And to this day, that's still something that needs to happen, is that I can't really like drive on my own. I'm getting so terrified I can't even walk down the block anymore to go to the 7-Eleven that I would stop at all of the time without even thinking about it, you know. And I think it really struck me that we really, really take our health and our abilities for granted. You know, you don't think about all of the things that you can do, or that you do normally do on a daily basis, part of your routine, how that can all just be taken away in an instant, and you don't even think about it because it's just so normal to you. And then in a moment, you can go from, you know, grabbing your daily coffee, going to work, taking that drive, whatever, to being confined in your home because you can't leave the house anymore without having a panic attack because of your health, you know. And I think that is such a terrifying, it's such a sobering reality now that I have to live in, is just like, oh my God, all of these things that I could do that I did without even thinking about it because it was just normal for me to do are gone. I can't go out. I can't, you know, I can't go to the store really. It's still so difficult for me. So I became fully agoraphobic by the end of June, I want to say. I couldn't drive. I couldn't go to the store. I couldn't walk down the block. I couldn't work anymore. I was on medical leave at this point. And I'm like, this is getting so intense and so terrifying. And I've never felt this way before. Like, I've never dealt with panic attacks to this degree where, you know, even going down to the garage to sit in the car, I would be trembling. Like, my heart would be racing. And then that gave me more anxiety because, you know, at this point, my heart condition is under control because of the new medication. The metoprolol was working. It was doing what it was supposed to do. But the associations that I had built in my brain were completely inhibiting me from doing anything at all. And it was just so beyond difficult. It was so heartbreaking. And I had gone into treatment. I went virtually through my work, actually, because it's a behavioral health hospital. I attended a virtual program. It's called PHP. It's Partial Hospitalization Program. I started it for my agoraphobia. It was 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday. It was all virtual, thank God, because usually you do it in person. But obviously, with my particular case, that was not an option. You meet with a therapist, you do group for all of those like 6 hours. You do, you have a set amount of time during the day for exposures. So you can, go out and do, whatever it is that you have to do. And then you meet with your therapist, you meet with a psychiatrist every week. I was working really hard on all of those things. And I had a lot of goals set for myself. One of the biggest goals was just like, I remember I didn't meet this goal until I discharged from PHP and began IOP, which is intensive outpatient therapy, which is only 3 hours a day instead of 6. But it's the exact same programming, just less hours in the day. The one goal I had was to go to 7-Eleven and buy one thing and then leave. I remember my partner would drive us to the 7-Eleven because I couldn't walk, even though it's down the block. It's literally at the end of my block. I couldn't walk because there was something about the car that felt safer because it was like a quicker escape. Like if I was having a really horrible time, if I walked that distance and I have a panic attack, I'm gonna have to walk that entire distance back. I can't like just sit in a car and decompress. We took the car everywhere all of the time because it was the quickest way that I could get home if I started to freak the fuck out. So I remember he drove us to the 7-Eleven and we sat in the parking lot, and this had happened a couple of times where I'm sitting in the passenger seat just wringing my hands, like almost breaking my fingers because I'm just gripping like so tight and my hands are sweaty and I'm shaking. I'm trembling. My heart is just through the roof. I like feel like I'm like, just trying to breathe, like I can't even breathe. And I'm just looking at the doors and I'm looking at all the people and I'm just like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And I just remember so many times sitting in that passenger seat, breaking down into tears, just sobbing because I felt so weak. I felt I couldn't do it. And I had always treated myself kind of like a machine. I never really gave myself breaks when I needed to. Even with all of my chronic illnesses, growing up very poor and growing up in constant survival mode, I just kind of adopted this mindset of like, okay, well, if I don't take care of myself and do all of these things that I need to do to survive, who's going to do it for me? I don't have parents really, like my mom just isn't responsible for my life, and my dad wasn't in my life very often, and then he had passed away. So I got to take care of myself. I don't really have anyone to help me. Like it was me and my partner against the world essentially for a long time. And it's just like, well, you got to carry your weight. So I just never gave myself breaks. So to go from not feeling unstoppable, but just knowing that I had to do what I had to do no matter how I felt about it, and that was the constant mindset that I was in, to the point where I really couldn't do anything at all. Like it was devastating to not only my lifestyle and my freedom, but also my pride. I was very proud of how far I had come and how hard I pushed myself and how hard I worked to get to where I am in life and to get all of these things that I worked so hard for, to get my car, to get my job, to get the apartment that we're in, like I worked so hard to get to where I was in life, and all of that just felt like it was being stripped away from me piece by piece. I had quite a few set goals in treatment. I finally met the goal of going into 7-Eleven and buying one thing, and the moment I walked in there, I was already just terrified. I went in with my partner so I wouldn't be alone, and I'm just shaking and trembling the entire time, and I have like my item in my hand. I think it was like a bowl of ramen or something, like a little ramen bowl packet or whatever it was that I really liked at the time, and I almost started panicking to the point where I was going to just hand it to him to like have him check out with it. And I was going to go run back in the car. And then I was like, no, I need to stay here, see the transaction through, because like waiting in lines for me has always just kind of been like a weird trigger. And I think it's because I feel kind of trapped because I'm like, oh God, if I'm in line, I have to like wait for the next person to be done so I can complete the transaction and whatever. So I just finally went through with it, and I just had spent so much time, working up to it. And I finally did it. And I just like started crying because I was so proud of myself. And I mean, it might just seem like such a small or like silly thing for the average person. It might have seemed silly to me months before that ever happened to me, because going to 7-Eleven was like part of my almost, daily routine to just grab like a drink or grab a snack before work. It was such a routine, normal thing for me that, like, if you would have told me that I would be in a position just months later where I wouldn't even be able to go inside the building, where I would be panicking, sitting in the car before even leaving the garage, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have laughed at you. I wouldn't have believed that that would be true. It is such an intense and debilitating phobia to have, because it just shuts you in and it isolates you. It makes you feel so alone. I was in treatment for 4 months, and then I discharged in October. I was getting to the point where I could drive the car around the block by myself on a normal day. On a rough day, maybe I would need my partner to come with me, but I could drive the car around the block, when previously, again, sitting in the car, panic attack. I was trying to be able to go to his family's house for events, and we would have to leave so I could go home, because, I couldn't stand being in the car for more than, like, if it was further than like maybe 10 minutes out, I would start freaking out and just having massive anxiety. It was just constant panic attacks. My body was just riddled with fear and adrenaline, and just literally my nervous system being in constant chaos, in survival mode, always in a state of like flight, because that was the only thing I knew that would keep me safe, is like, oh, if I just go home, I won't feel this way, and I can, lay in bed and just not feel terribly anxious and miserable. So it's been a very long journey with this so far, and I have gotten to the point now where I can kind of tolerate, I can go into convenience stores for short periods of time. Like, I can go into the 7-Eleven now, typically just fine. I will still have a lot of anxiety. It will still be very, very difficult for me, but I can handle a full transaction at the 7-Eleven. I can go to like Walgreens, like small stores. I still am not able to go to bigger stores like grocery stores, because I had a massive panic attack in one, and it is very difficult for me. And plus, it's just a much bigger store to navigate. So it's like the further in I am, the further I'd have to get to the car to feel safe. I still can't really go back to parks and nature reserves and all of these things that I love to do, because I'm a very extroverted, outgoing, adventurous person, and this condition has just really ruined my life, honestly. It's been very difficult. From the time I was a kid, I always had these huge dreams of traveling. I've never seen the ocean. I've never been on a plane. I've only seen 3 states, because again, I grew up very poor. I didn't really have the opportunity to travel or go anywhere or do anything or see the world. And that was always, because of how I grew up, my biggest dream was to travel and do all of these things and do everything as an adult that I didn't get to do as a child. I can't explain why, but seeing the ocean has always been one of my biggest goals and one of my biggest dreams in life, because I love like the ocean. I love the idea of the ocean, and that is definitely something that I still want to do. I also had dreams of moving to Washington one day, because I just love the aesthetic of like the Pacific Northwest, the mountains and the ocean, and the trees, like the forest, just how beautiful it looks there. I have all of these big dreams. I would love to visit Europe. I'd love to travel just everywhere that I possibly can. That sort of brings me to my point of this entire video. I'm like so nervous talking about it. Oh my god, because like it makes it real. Point of this video is that this is going to be the beginning of my new series, Diary of an Agoraphobic, where every week I complete like a weekly exposure. So it's gonna be smaller stuff so that I can work my way up. Every week, on Saturday, I'm gonna do something like going to the grocery store, a doctor's appointment, to get a piercing, to the beach, doing all of these things so every week I'm gonna be meeting that weekly goal. I will be uploading a new video every Monday with my exposure. I'll be also inserting like clips, kind of vlogs and stuff from throughout the week, because I am going to try to do smaller exposures on my own, where maybe I walk down the block, maybe I try to walk a little further, just stuff that I can do on my own. And then obviously for the bigger exposure of the week, my friends are going to be taking me out so that we can kind of complete the exposure together. I can't express how much I've missed because of this condition. I've missed so many things that I can't get back. So many, I've missed births from my friends' children. I've missed weddings. I've missed funerals. My friends have kids that I haven't even met yet. I've missed so much of my life in the past year that I've had this condition, and I don't want to miss any more. I don't want to miss any more. I'm trying really hard not to cry because I just did my makeup and I really like it, and I'm gonna be streaming later, so I'm trying to not do that. I've missed a lot. I've missed a lot of my life so far that I can't get back. I'm tired of just letting this control my life and make me miserable. My friends want me to come out to bars and clubs with them, and they want me to come over and see their house and, you know, go on trips together and do all of the things that a normal girl in her 20s wants to do. You know, I have so much life to live, and I'm still so young, and I don't want my 20s to be consumed by my illness. My hope with this is that I meet my short-term goals, and my long-term goals I will be kind of fleshing out more, but long-term goals, for example, in a year's time, I want to see the ocean. I want to see the ocean. I want to visit Washington. I want to go on a plane. I want to go on a road trip that's over 4 hours away. There's a beautiful forest, because I live in Wisconsin. There's a beautiful forest like 4 or 5 hours north that has, I think it's over 1.5 million acres of forest that has waterfalls and just beautiful just nature. I just want to be surrounded by nature. And I want to move out of my apartment eventually one day. There's so many things that I want to do. And I am extending an invitation for all of you to do it with me and come with me on my journey to reclaim my life and see new things and have new adventures that I've only dreamed of having and very recently haven't even thought could be a possibility anymore. My second biggest goal with this, obviously this is a very personal journey. You're going to see me break down. You're going to see me have panic attacks. You're going to see the breakthroughs and the breakdowns of all of this, because this is very hard. It is going to be, to date, the most vulnerable that I've ever been on the internet to anyone else who's outside of, you know, my immediate circle. So I am terrified. I'm very scared of all of it, but I just know that I need this to hold me accountable to finally do it. I need to be able to get through it. I need to do this. I know that I need to do this. And that is my cat, Khaleesi, by the way. She is the love of my life. You will be seeing her a lot. My second biggest goal with this series is to reach out to the agoraphobic community, anyone struggling with their mental health in a way that is debilitating. I just want you to know that you're not alone. I don't know where this series is going to go. I don't know how many people it's going to reach, but even if it just reaches one person who is struggling with their mental health, who's struggling with agoraphobia, who feels isolated and alone, I just want you to know that I'm here. It's fucking terrifying, but you can do it. If this series helps even one person, that's more than enough for me, because life is so hard. It can be so hard. Mental health issues and chronic illness is so hard, and it's so isolating. You know, maybe having the ability to either watch someone conquer their fears or go through it with them, or you know what, if you even want to turn on one of my videos, or after you see one, you go out and you try something that you haven't been able to do, I'm here. I'm here for it. I'm here for you. I'm so excited because I know that if I can do it, you can do it too. There's so much life out there to live. And there's no point in having such big dreams and letting your illness win over that. I have so many more conditions beyond just agoraphobia that make this even more challenging. But I have maybe very stupid faith. I don't know. I have faith that I can do this, that you can do this, that we can get through this together. And I just think that even if I'm just talking into my camera, maybe someone out there is listening. Maybe someone out there is watching. Maybe someone out there needs this as much as I do. I don't know. I just hope that I can be here for you as much as you're here for me. I'm looking forward to the journey. I'm looking forward to finally taking back my life, because I've let my illness keep it from me for far too long now. And I'm ready to start living my life the way that I want to live it, the way that I planned and dreamed it. So if you've stuck with me this far, I appreciate every single one of you, whoever's watching this. I hope that it found you at a time that you needed it. I hope it found you. I'm terrified, but I'm very excited to start this new journey with you. There's going to be, again, weekly uploads every Monday. You'll see the get ready with me. You'll see me do the exposure, and we'll do a little debrief on top of having some extra clips from mini exposures throughout the week. I hope you tune in every Monday, and I'm super anxious. And I hope to see you there. Just know that you're not alone. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're experiencing in this life, you are not alone. And my inbox is always open. I will always do my best to reach out to everybody. I am getting kind of flooded right now after just having started streaming and gaming, but I will do my best to respond to people and just kind of, just be here for you if you need it. I hope you stay tuned. I hope you stick with me. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.